Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's May 2nd. This will be our chart listing for today. And real quickly, I am back from vacation, obviously. I'm still a little behind on my emails. I'll probably catch up by tomorrow. So I did got a good bit done today, but I'm not going to be completely caught up. Definitely probably I didn't get to any of the forum today. Just trying to get caught up on emails and take care of people that needed something while I was gone. But anyway, interesting couple of days there. Looked like towards last week, we had a little bounce and then had this last push down. And today looked like we were going to close outside below this uh, pink channel here on the daily chart. But you can see we closed right at that line. So, and technically, you could probably move this a little lower since we closed down there already. It tends to fit better right in here, in my opinion. That was kind of the long-term spot I was looking at, and you can see we did close right at that, maybe slightly above. So, is this going to be the final capitulation? I do not know. You can see this channel working down. We got a break and a couple of swings to a new low. We may just continue to find some temporary support here. We may go lower. As I talked about in the mid-morning chart I posted, that a lot of times on these failed break lowers, they turn out to be great buying opportunities. And if you'd have bought on this breakout down here this morning, um, you had a nice chance, which we'll look at that. I'll show you that point on the chart, and I marked it in the green arrow. You got to be really, really careful trying to pick bottoms and tops. You need to be a skilled chart reader to do it, but they do offer some great opportunities. And so I will talk about it and show you what I'm talking about. But unless you're a really skilled chart reader, just wait till you get a confirmed trend in the other direction. Somebody actually asked me that question. How do I know it's safe to buy? Well, you don't if you're not a really good chart reader, and even then, you could get it wrong. So the idea is most people should probably just wait until you get a confirmed trend like this coming down. Until you get this confirmed trend working up, don't buy. When you get the confirmed trend, you get a setup, then you can buy. And then and you don't get caught buying somewhere just before the market turns and goes lower again, because that's what happens to most people. They start trying to pick a bottom in here, and it rises just a little, and then suddenly it runs down and stops them out. And then next thing you know, it turns and rockets in the other direction. So not sure that's what's going to happen here, but it's a possibility. So we'll wait and see what happens. But let's flip over to the intraday chart, and we'll go through the trades and wrap this. Okay, here's a look at our intraday chart. You can see we were in this range early, and then we dropped down here, and we really made almost a perfect measured move. You also could have measured this leg, and you can see we got a little further than that, but prices were trying to fill this or get this measured move based on the height of the range up here. And you can see we ended up closing higher, but still inside this range. So, but this was a relatively nice and important rally here that we didn't close on down and down strongly today. But you can clearly see the two legs down, and then we rallied. And before that, it was just sideways. We see this a lot lately. The market starts off just kind of chopping sideways, and then it'll rally or sell off and find a support or resistance if it's rallying, and then turn and trade the other way. We've seen that a lot lately. Here we rallied a little bit, broke out, failed, and trended down before prices made a measured move down and then rallied out of there. This was a really strong rally. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of opportunities to enter that rally, and that happens sometimes. And it's just the way it is. The one thing you can't allow to happen is to see a big move that you couldn't get in because there wasn't a setup. And what'll happen is that'll get you to thinking, yeah, I knew I should have taken that trade. And the next time you'll see that similar setup, and it's not perfect, but you'll think back and say, well, last time I missed this, I'm not missing it again. And then guess what? You enter, and it instantly reverses, and you get stopped out. If you follow the rules and you miss a big move, that's just part of it. Don't look back on that. Just tell yourself, hey, I followed the rules, and there wasn't a setup, so I missed that move, and that happens sometimes. So that's one thing that'll get you quicker than anything in trading is that you see a setup that's questionable and you know better to take it, and you do the right thing. You talk yourself into not taking the trade because that's the right move, and then you see a big, huge move, and it makes you mad, and you say, I knew I should have taken the trade, and then the next thing you know, you see that same setup, and you say, last time I sat on the sidelines and missed out, not this time. And then you enter the trade and it reverses on you and you get stopped out and that'll probably happen to you the next 10 times. But you remember that one big move. So don't be that person. If you follow the rules, you follow the rules. Let's back out, go through the trades, and wrap this day up. There's quite a few here early on. This is mostly just sideways stuff early on. You had to sit tight on this one. You had to be patient. There's a couple of green ones, and you could always argue for more green ones. There's some others in here that you probably say, hey, isn't that green or couldn't that be green? And it probably could be. But there's plenty of trades usually without having to mark some of those questionable green ones. So anyway, early on we're trending down here. 7 o'clock came just as we're getting the break here, and you kind of get you got a double bottom there, and you kind of get a little three-legged swing, and then this breaks higher and fails and turns down. That's a lower high right there, and it's an engulfing bar. You might take the trade. You couldn't take it if you waited on this to close. However, if you took it on the engulfing bar when it went by right there, you could enter that. And I somewhat like that trade. It's a little bit aggressive, and you got to be careful with engulfing bars, but that was a really strong move, and you would expect prices to test that low. So you just need the right setup there. If you kind of draw your little trend channel right up to there, it's actually a little steeper than that. It's more like that right there. You don't get an overshoot, and this was your first break, so it could try one more time to go higher. So you got to be careful with that one. But I marked it green. I like it. And you might even want to enter on you could actually consider that a second entry on that big bearish bar. That's pretty much a double bottom. So first entry, second entry. So you might consider that one. I didn't mark it. Like I said, there's probably some others in here. I think you're better off to wait on the lower high. And then it turns out to be the engulfing bar. But I still like it to some degree, because you expect prices to make a new low here, and everything's below the EMA. We can't even close through it yet. We barely could even push through it. So that's a good sign. But of course, now you have your break of the yellow channel, a new low, and then you're going the other direction. Unfortunately, there's no setup. You do get a second entry here. That signal bar is just not quite good enough. If you had a better signal bar than what I've got, yeah, maybe you could take that one, because it is a second entry, and you are expecting a retest of the highs here on this first break. And prices may even go back to the highs up here. It's a nice move, but that's all you get out of it, and then you're just kind of chopping sideways. So unfortunately, there is a little break higher and a turn down, and it closes outside, but there's a chance this snaps back in that congestion. But that's another one. Actually, I don't think it does break higher. If it would have broken higher there and then turned down, maybe you consider that one. But the fact that this is really your signal bar here, the green bar, you just can't enter that one. It doesn't break higher anywhere until way down here, and now it's too late. You never enter this far away from the EMA. Even if it does continue to go further, every swing after that, it's just very, it would be a very risky entry. So you want to enter on the corrections back to the EMA or the trend line at least. Of course, here's the trend line, but the trend line's just gotten too far away from this. It's so steep, it's not going to last. And you see, it's not long before you get a break, move to a new low, and then it bounces. There's another trade here. I didn't mark this one. There's clearly two legs up. There's a hidden second entry there, and that's a really nice signal bar. The problem with that one is at that point, this wasn't really your support resistance line. It was up here. The problem with this one is you've already broken lower than your low up here. It does come back and test it too, so you could look at that as, let me just draw the line there so it's easier to see and it makes more sense. But you can see that that's a retest. And you would expect prices to make a new low, but this was just such a big bar. I thought you'd be better off to wait on the lower high, and you don't get one. But I should have definitely marked that green, because you can see the two legs back. It's just not a true second entry, and that's the problem with it. It's a hidden second entry, and you would expect prices to make a new low. So you need to be a really good chart reader and to want to take this trade, because technically on this chart that's a first entry. So, but if that all makes sense to you and you wanted to take that trade, you could. Same thing with here. This is that new low. We broke below the support, got a break of the yellow channel, new low, and then look how far away we are from the EMA. Generally, you're better off to wait on a higher low, but sometimes you don't get one, and sometimes on these kind of breaks that rally quickly back, you don't get a higher low, and this is one of those cases. So if you don't take the risky trade here, you don't get a chance. And look at that thing. And I'm not trying to talk people into saying, hey, start taking this. I'm just showing you what you can try to study and work for towards the future. But you can see that. That's 12 bars that went 35 points in 3 minutes. That's the kind of moves you want to catch a runner on. And you probably easily catch a runner here. So that's a gimme almost. So yeah, sometimes you'll get burned a lot on that. So that's why you really need to know what you're doing. So but that's what I was talking about on these failed break lowers. When you get a setup, you just sometimes just have to take it. But you run up here, you get a break of this green channel, then you get a first entry, second entry. Unfortunately, that bar is not good enough. Wait and see if you get a higher low. It's right here. It was an engulfing bar. I probably would only enter on the engulfing bar. There's a little bit of stem. It's still closing its upper 1/3. So if you wanted to take that trade, you could. But if you didn't enter here on the engulfing bar, I'd wait and see if you got a reversal, and you do. Notice the new low, and it went lower once, it went lower twice and failed. Nice signal bar too. Of course, it doesn't matter on a failure, and look at it run straight up. It's another nice move. It doesn't look like it, but that's an 11-point move right there in 50 seconds. So this thing's been pretty volatile again, so you got to be really careful. Then you get a triple test here, but your signal bar is no good. Wait and see if you get a higher low, which comes here. It's a little bit far to consider that a higher low, but I still like entering there because we're probably going to test this high up here again, and it takes it a minute, but it chops its way on up there. Of course, you probably would have been in and out of that scalp pretty quickly, and then you wouldn't have caught a runner. There is a triple test here, but into that 2-bar matching high and the fact that it's been turning down over and over there, I wouldn't risk that. And it just gets a little volatile in here. Just chopping sideways. Just stay out of that stuff. You can see if you measured this range right here, we pretty much got a measured move before it turned down again. I do like notice we made that high. You came back once, twice. There is pretty much a triple test there at the highs of this measured move. And that's a fairly bearish bar, so you may take that one. It's not a great perfect setup, but it's one you might consider. It is a triple test. So, and of course prices run down, and then we're just chopping sideways again. You do get a little failed breakout here and a nice bullish bar way away from the EMA. And it's also a second entry, although we're not really looking for second entries. But the fact that it is one on a failed break lower and a nice bullish signal bar, that's one you might consider. Then it comes back and tests it once, twice, so there's a double test there. But with everything still below the EMA, I think that's too risky because it could break higher and turn down like it tried to do there. But then it just bounces again. But still, you just don't get a setup you could take there. Wait and see if you get a higher low or something. And technically, that is a higher low because you made a lower high right there. But it doesn't make a lower low, so it's just an inside bar. Those can be real iffy, so just avoid that. and it does run up chop sideways, but notice there's two legs back, nice bullish bar. You're expecting a retest of the highs. That's a great place in there. Once again, it takes off. You probably get a runner, and it runs two legs straight up. You got leg one right there, and then there's your leg two, and we actually went a little bit further than that. So that would have been a nice target. Just really what you would probably shoot for is the previous highs as your target. And if you had a runner going, or you had multiple runners, maybe you take some of them off there and save one just to see if it goes higher. There is a higher low here, but it's right into the range highs. Don't enter there because it's probably going to fail. Of course it does. And then you get a lower high right here with still plenty of room back to the EMA. I like that. Then you get your reversal pattern right here. You actually enter one tick below that bar because that's where it broke lower. But your signal bar goes above the swing high, so that's your signal bar. But you enter one tick below this inside bar. And it's just a trap. Doesn't like it fooled a lot of people because it does reverse pretty quickly. It gives you two legs up, and then it turns back down on the second entry. And so that's probably worth trying to ride back. Again, it's not a perfect setup, but there's plenty of room back here. So you may take that, and if you do, that's the one that burns everybody. And you can tell that there were a lot of trap people there. Prices go rushing. But yeah, you catch that when you get a nice runner, and it drops on down. There is a reversal right there, but it doesn't set up properly. And then we're just chopping sideways. There is a failed breakout here, but no setup. Unfortunately, it's terrible because you get a great move out of that, but it's just the way it works sometimes. Drops on down, and then it works its way back to the trend line again. Again, we're just kind of, there's two ways to look at this one. There's a trend line working up, but it's also congested and just sideways. You can see the pink and the green. And really, I believe the way to play this is the pink sideways, because it's just sideways congestion. And so if you traded it that way, you may trade this as a chance to go short at the top of the range. It is a second entry short on top of that. And it's been a pretty strong downtrend, so you would expect prices to attempt a new low. And if this is a range day still, we're probably going to test the lows of the range. And that's exactly what happens. We run down here and we just find support along the lows of the range. And we're just chopping sideways. There is another second entry right here. I didn't mark it. It's another one you could at least argue to be green. The problem is we are making kind of higher lows and higher highs there, and we do have a break and a new low. So, but you can clearly see there's somewhat of a range right in there, and that's a failed breakout. It does give you room to get out. So if you saw it that way, let's just give this one a little different color too. We'll make it a little darker like we did. Oops, I didn't mean to make it that dark. I mean, it's very similar to this setup. It's almost a repeat. So if you saw that, you may take it. I don't see anything that I'd want to buy down here. And then of course we're working up, and notice how you get a new low right there. And so then you get a first entry, second entry, way away from the EMA, and really I like that one just to ride it back to the EMA, and maybe it continues to go lower. And you can see that it had people trapped. Look how that thing drops like crazy. And it's just a little congestion area too, so it's like a little failed break out of that congestion. So at a minimum, you'd expect prices to probably come back and test these lows in the EMA, but this thing just keeps going. They had the long. See, these are the people trying to pick the lows, hoping they get a pick a low, and that's why you got to be careful doing that, because they'll load you up and then run all your stops. And then this was the failed break lower that makes the new low way away from the EMA. It is a second entry long. It is a nice signal bar. I'm always going to mark those green because they're aggressive, but that's the one you want to try to catch in most cases. This time it didn't really take off. like it does later today, but those are the ones you want to try to catch. This was the other one right here that ran so good. This one, I mean, it does take on off, and you might have got a runner here. This one, I'm not 100% sure you'd get a runner, but it doesn't look like it, but there's still a nice move there. I mean, that's 12 points in a minute and a half. So it doesn't look like that much, but it's still, but wait on a higher low and you get that here and you get another nice move and no runner there. And it works its way all the way back up to the highs and then turns down. I didn't mark this lower high because it's like right in the middle and it's been bouncing there. It bounced there a couple of times. Of course, it was on its way up and now it's probably on its way down. So it's another one. You could argue to be green. It runs down here and now you get a higher low. The only reason I marked this green and not blue is that congestion right there. That's not rejection off those lows. You want to see rejection where it takes off like that. And that's not rejection. Notice how prices are just hanging around there. They're just kind of going sideways. You got to be real careful with that. But it is a higher low. There is support down here, a lot of it. So there's a good chance you could ride it back to the EMA. And if you see that, maybe you take it. There's no reversal set up here. There's no real way to get in that move there safely. And because you get a first entry right here and then a second entry here. So this is a new low. So that's just a first entry right there. And it just doesn't set up properly. And of course, now you may treat this as a failed breakout. But again, you're better off to wait on the lower high, which comes here, and it doesn't really set up where you want to take a trade. It works and does what you would expect a failure or a failed breakout to do, but it doesn't give you the setup you want to take. Then you get two legs back and another second entry, but look at your signal bar. You can't take that. But if you just wait a few minutes later, you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry that fails, and look how bearish that bar is. Rather than just going short way down here, you may let this one break lower and drop a limit order. But the problem is a lot of times you'll miss the best trade doing that. And you're expecting prices to go from the high back to the low. So either way you played that one, just probably best is put a sell stop there. Although it's a relatively big bar. It's 24 ticks. So, but in this volatile times, you're going to have a lot of those big bars. There's just not much you can do about it. And of course, you do get another failed breakout here. There's too much congestion there. That's not rejection. It's just congestion, kind of acceptance of prices. But you see how it runs when it goes higher. And so all of these new break lowers, you probably could get a scalp out of them, but just be real careful. Like I said, don't trying to pick tops and bottoms. You really need to know what you're doing. And there's no break of this trend channel yet, and there's sideways stuff, so you really can't enter that one. Now you got a break in a new low, but look what happens. You get two legs of correction and you get a second leg down, and then it bounces out of there. So this would be the place to maybe pick up the new low, and your signal bar is no good there, so you can't do it. There is a higher low here. So if you had enough room between here and here, maybe you take that one. But again, I don't think that's worth it. It's just not a real strong setup. It runs up, and then we turn down. You do get a reversal here. Notice you get the break of this green channel. You try to go higher once, twice, and this does confirm that yellow trend line right down through there. And this is a failure. If you break lower there, you're probably going to ease on down, and it does. It could take off real quickly. It actually comes back here. I didn't mark this one, but technically you could argue that's a triple test with such a good signal bar off the key entry point. If you notice that, then maybe you take that trade. So it's a possibility. And you can see that it runs on down pretty quickly. Try to go higher once, twice, so there's your failure. And then there's a lower high if you didn't like the failure. It's a little congested, but you can see how bearish that is. And we'll probably run on down and test the lows. I originally had the lows down here, and it fits really either place. Problem here is you never get back down there, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean the lows aren't down there. It just means we didn't get there, and that led to a break, and then we continued to trade lower for a little bit more before we went higher. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I like that move down. Then we're just working sideways. I don't see any. You don't want to go long here yet. Then you do get your break. There's two legs up there. So that's a second entry short, but signal bar is no good. And look at that move. That's a nice move. It's unfortunate that you don't get a setup there, because that's like a, I mean, just down to the low there's another 27-point move. And really we made most of that move in 9 minutes there. And then you're just chopping sideways again. I don't see anything I like in either direction here until finally you get this breakout pullback with a second entry long. You do have your break and a new low in place, and you can see how we're slowly starting to make higher highs and higher lows here. And so on that second entry with a failed second entry short, you may take that trade because it's probably going to act like a trap to the short side, and you can see it does by how fast it rockets up. And it looks like it's going to reverse, and then when it starts going again, they start running more stops. But let me explain this one, because this one's a little difficult to see. There's a new low right there, and you run up and you went lower. So there's your first entry. And then prices opened here and broke higher and then turned down again. So that was the second time prices made a new low. So even though you only see one swing low there, that's technically a failed second entry short, and it's also a first entry, second entry. This is much more advanced, so if you can't see that, listen to me say it a few times and study it. But don't lose a lot of sleep over it, because it's definitely more advanced, and some of you won't see that. And it takes off. And again, you got a new swing low because it's lower than that one that I just described. So then you get a first entry, second entry, and that one confirms the trend line. Normally you couldn't enter here. You just have to watch it go without you. But because it's a failed second entry short and likely a short trap, if it turns higher there after confirming that trend line, and you know that it was a trap and that the shorts are exiting, because look how it rockets up. That's what causes that to rocket up. All those shorts having to exit, and once it starts going up, new longs say, oh, I got to get in on that. Now we're going higher. And this thing just rallies right on into 230. And you don't really get a lot of opportunity to enter this one after that. So you could almost argue for that to be blue, but I marked it green. It's just a little advanced, because you have to be able to understand that's a new low there. And this is just another little trap, a higher low. The low right there is 04.25, and right there it's 04. So technically this made a lower low. So notice we're coming down, and it makes a higher low, and then it breaks lower right there and then turns up. It's only a first entry, but there's a trap there, and it does bounce right off that key entry point. Look how bullish that bar is. I like going long there. I marked it green because it's more advanced. But this thing has turned into a pretty strong trend. And then last trade up here is right before 230. You make a new low, you test it once, you test it twice. So you got a triple test. It's really just a range going sideways. You get short right at the lows with plenty of room. And once again, you'll probably get a runner here. And if you can see there's another 21 point move there real pretty quickly. Even if you just went to where it got congested, 15 points. So there it is. And it's just a range day. And again, once we went lower, it pretty much made a measured move down. That's what this dashed line is just a measured move based off the width of the range. And I did change the width to where we got the most closes at the end of the day in touches, and that was right along here. Earlier I had it right across here. I just adjusted it down some. But my opinion, this is just on the daily chart, it's a reversal type day, but on the intraday chart, this is just a range day that makes a measured move down equal to the range. Just makes, technically what happens is this is really your range, and this was just a midline across here all along. And that's all it is. And really to trade it, you just need to draw these micro and shorter term trend lines throughout this range. And that'll help keep you on the right side. So anyway, this is a 30-minute chart lesson, so I'm going to wrap it up. I'm not going to, a lot of trades here and a lot of stuff to talk about, but volatility seems to be back. Just be careful. Have we found a low? It's hard to say. We already looked at the daily chart, so I'm not going to go back to it. But anyway, I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be caught up here in another day or so, but I'm still catching up. But this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.